Prime Minister Michael Ma from Indochine. Climate change. Singapore has done very well in terms of greening, insulations and all sorts of things of greening, things that your father started. How will you convince the other leaders in Asia that climate change is important and, 2045 Singapore could be a meter underwater?
I think not 2045. Well, climate change is important. First of all, it's real. I have to say this because some people still say climate change is not real, but it is real. We can see it happening. We can estimate how quickly you think it's going to worsen. It depends what human beings do. But I think realistically, we will not be doing enough to slow down, to stop, much less to reverse the process. And we have to be prepared for it in Singapore. In the way we reclaim land, I think our requirements are now a few meters higher to provide some tolerance in case we miscalculate the water levels. In the way we build our structures, the standards we require for greenness, that means energy efficiency, we assume that we will have to cut back on carbon emissions. In the habits we try to inculcate in our people in order to live in an environmentally friendly and sustainable way. I think that it is not different from what other countries are doing. If you look at even the Chinese, they are putting a lot of investment into solar power, into wind power. They are trying to clean up their coal power plants, and that's a Herculean task. And I think they know that if they don't, it's going to affect them, and they can see it affecting them already, whether it's typhoons, whether it's low-lying lands affected by rising sea levels, whether it's changing patterns affecting the deserts and their snow caps, and therefore their irrigation and their agriculture. So it's not what we say which will convince other people to change. It is when other countries conclude that this is real and that they are going to be affected and that countries have to get together and deal with it together. Then you can move. You cannot go it alone. The Europeans say they're going to do this, that, the other, and they want to reduce their emissions by 80% by 2015. I don't think it can be done, especially not if the rest of the world is not doing it. Because our industries will move offshore, and they'll say, why should I impose these rules and cause the plant to go across the Mediterranean, and then the rules are laxer there, and the world is worse off because he's pumping out more stuff there. They will stop doing that. The Australians tried to do it. They had a carbon tax imposed by the Labour government. And Tony Abbott has come in and he's reversed it. It was one of the reasons why the Labour government lost the election. Because you can't do these things to yourself unless there's a global agreement to do it together. And a global agreement to do it together depends on the big emitters, China, India, America, Europe, but mainly America and China in the first instance, getting together and being prepared to make a deal and to implement a deal and get it sold to your own population. Congress, if it doesn't pass a deal, well, the US president can do certain things, but really, truly, you can't raise you can't raise your gas taxes, you can't change your subsidies for coal, which you have some for places like West Virginia, and you really cannot live up to your international standards, obligations, and if you don't, well, the Chinese will say, after you.